intense for me to hear that. I am not a fan of public speaking as much as I like to talk. I know that's shocking to all of you. So I've written kind of what I had to say in a letter form, so I'm going to read an open letter. To the friends and family members of victims and survivors of domestic violence, thank you for your love, support, and patience. We know that it's not easy to see someone that you care about being mistreated, devalued, and hurt. You likely have felt sad, afraid, tired, angry, and frustrated with us, this system, and of course our abusers. We know how difficult it is to understand why we stay or why we might go back. Domestic violence is a very complicated thing. The truth is that when we are in an abusive relationship, we aren't able to see our own value. We have been mentally and physically broken down by our abusers and often don't believe that we have what it takes to leave. We are susceptible to their apologies and false promises of change. You guys probably see a theme here, a pattern, and that'll never happen again. We want to save our families and make it work. And please know that despite what we're going through and the decisions that we make, we do appreciate you, and having your support and love truly means the world to us. For me personally, after I came to the realization that my abuser was not going to change and that his promises were always broken, it was fear that prevented me from leaving. My ex-husband threatened me daily as to all the horrible things he would do if I did leave. I knew he was very capable of carrying out his threats, and I was literally paralyzed with fear. Those were some very dark days, and it wasn't until I came to the realization that if I didn't leave the relationship, he was, without a doubt, going to kill me. And I had to summon the strength to tell my family what was happening and leave. My friends and family have been and continue to be amazing. They have helped me in so many ways, just by being present with me, listening and not judging, helping me replace furniture, clothing, and all the belongings that were destroyed or thrown away by my ex-husband. They've gone to court with me, problem solved with me, given me pep talks when I needed them, and when necessary told me to suck it up and do whatever it takes to be done, and finally by keeping me smiling and laughing through all the craziness. To my friends and family members, thank you. I love and appreciate all of you. Thank you. To the prosecutors, victim advocates, and other professionals working with victims and survivors, thank you, thank you, thank you. The work you do is amazing, and I'm sure not always rewarding. It has to be very difficult for you to help someone only to see them return to an abusive partner. Please know that you are appreciated and that you are making a difference. For many different reasons, it may take us several times of leaving and returning before we're finally able to break free. I personally have received incredible support from my victim advocates, Rochelle and Stacy, and the Washington County Prosecutor's Office, especially Prosecutor Slay, who have all worked with me over the past few years, yes, years, related to repeated threats, stalking, and intimidation by my ex-husband. Their support, guidance, and positive attitude have kept me grounded and focused during some very difficult times. I remember feeling so frustrated by the legal system at times that I just wanted to throw in the towel and say, forget it. Why bother when nothing's going to happen and he's just going to get off? They would always stay calm, remind me that I was strong enough to get through this and that I could not allow my ex-husband to continue to harass and intimidate me, that he would eventually be held accountable. I am eternally grateful for their kindness, guidance, and gentle pushing when they knew I needed it. I also have to say that I so appreciate their use of humor during those difficult times, especially Rochelle, because there were days when laughing at the craziness of some situations and the scripting and casting of my future Lifetime movie were the only things that could put a smile on my face. Unfortunately, I am one of many individuals that has an abuser that became even more violent and lethal after I left the relationship. I left 4 years ago, and I'm still dealing with his threats to torture and kill me and my children, and reports that he's attempting to hire someone to kill me from prison. I am incredibly thankful for several individuals that are incarcerated. With him, they took these threats seriously. They did the right thing, came forward, and expressed their concern for myself and my children, which is the only thing that prevented my ex-husband, who has already been approved for parole, from being released and in a position to potentially carry out these threats of harming myself and my children. And he would be out probably within the next month if those individuals would not have come forward. I don't know, we do have a few police officers. So to police officers, First and foremost, thank you for putting your lives on the line every day in order to protect us and help others. I know your job is not an easy one, and that you must see some horrific things on a daily basis. We recognize and respect that domestic violence calls can be extremely dangerous for responding officers. We know that you have had experiences in the past with individuals that have made up abuse allegations to get an upper hand in court or get back at someone. You're likely also frustrated victims of abuse going back to their abusers time and time again, as well as the barriers in the legal system. From the perspective of a survivor and former victim of domestic violence, please know that if a victim of domestic violence calls you for help, it is because they are very likely in fear for their lives. We tolerate a tremendous amount of abuse without calling for help. And if things have escalated to the point that we pick up that phone and dial 911 knowing the potential consequences of our actions by our abuser, the threat is real. Please remember that abusive individuals tend to be very personable, manipulative, and good at twisting things in their favor. Please also remember that your interaction with us will very likely affect how we feel about calling the police for help in the future. For many victims, a negative interaction means that they will never call for help again. A negative interaction may also empower the abusive individual by making them feel that they can get away with the abuse because their victim is not taken seriously. I have had both wonderful and not so wonderful interactions with officers related to calls that I've made regarding my ex-husband. The most difficult interaction that I experienced was when a responding officer asked me what I had done to cause my ex-husband to threaten me and act why he was acting. I was very caught off guard by his question, as I knew there was nothing I had done to cause my ex-husband to threaten and stalk me other than leave that relationship. I experienced so many emotions in that moment: shock, hurt, sadness, and anger. I remember forcing myself to stay seated and calm so that I could better explain the situation. In my heart, I know that if I had been someone that was easily intimidated, or if I personally wasn't at the point of being empowered and able to advocate for myself, I likely would never have called the police again. On the flip side, I've had interactions with several officers that have truly gone above and beyond. They have been empathetic, respectful, and extremely helpful. I've had officers call or stop by to check on me and the boys to make sure that we're okay, and we don't need anything. Officers have worked collaboratively across counties to ensure my safety. Recently, when the threats that I mentioned earlier were made by my ex-husband, they did hourly checks on my home and place of employment to ensure the safety of myself and my children, and I'm extremely appreciative of that. For any officers here, thank you for what you do.